So, a South African man has been kidnapped in Burkina Faso. The Department of International Relations and Cooperation saying that the family of the victim has been informed. A number of locals have been kidnapped while traveling abroad over the years. To talk more about this, we're joined by Al-Hamati. He is from the Gift of the Givers. We're looking at hostage negotiation in such situations. Anas, a very good afternoon or good morning to you. Thank you for coming in. So what is the first step in negotiating for the release of a hostage?
Good morning, and thank you for having me today. Actually, the first step depends on the negotiator agenda. Why they kidnapping this guy? Some kidnappers they're looking for to force the government to implement some infrastructure projects, or sometimes it's for employment. So it depends what is the demands of the kidnappers. We need to know who kidnapped him first, and then we can make a decision what kind of intervention then we can go.
But based on this information now about this man who's been taken in Burkina Faso, in your experience, what are we dealing with here, given the political and other instability in that part of the world?
Sometimes the kidnappers, they can be a terrorist group or tribe leaders. They trying to make some. They try to enforce the government to do something in their own areas. But with time, we have to wait to see what the kidnappers, what they're going to say. Are they going to demand to ask for a ransom, or they ask for something, or prison swipe with the government? So the demands is different from country to country. Is completely different scenario for the kidnapping issues. So I think we have to talk to with the government of Burkina Faso and to see first information what they got, how they kidnapped him, and if there is any demands from the kidnappers so far.
At a broader level, how does political instability and the operations of rebel and terrorist cells in various countries complicate efforts to rescue a hostage? I'm reminded here of Pierre and Yolandi Korki, who were taken in Yemen, and you look at that years later, it is now officially declared the worst humanitarian disaster. There is little, if any, government at all to speak of.
Actually, we Gift of the Givers, we involved in Somalia with the hostage issue, in Somalia, in Yemen, in Mali, and in some other countries. We find when the government is very fragile and they don't have control on the land, it's normal to find so many groups. They kidnapping foreigners just to take the right and to ask the government to anything to force them to do something for themselves. But from our experience with Yolandi Korki, she's been kidnapped by Al-Qaeda, and they asked for a big ransom money. It was the same thing in Somalia and Mali as well. So if we have the same scenario in Burkina Faso, this will be a really big problem. But I think if the tribes who kidnapped this man in Burkina Faso, maybe the local government in Burkina Faso, they can speak with the kidnappers. So it's not a terrorism issue; it's just a tribal issue. So it can be easily sorted out.
To the mind of the ordinary South African, when we think of Gift of the Givers, we think humanitarian aid and that sort of thing, yet here you are a hostage negotiator, and I'm wondering just how often your services have to now be pulled into a situation and negotiate for the rescue of a person or release of a person.
As Gift of the Givers, we're trying to help everyone we can help him. I didn't imagine that one day I can meet people from the terrorist group like Al-Qaeda and negotiate with them. But this is part from my job. We have to save lives, people's life. So when we face this, we find ourselves already in. So we can't ignore the people and we say it's not part from our work. No, it is part from our work to save any life that we can save.
The South African government, like many others, does not pay ransom for hostages, even though we have had reports where some have said that the government has gone and paid some sort of money to secure the release of a citizen. How much pressure does that put on you then as hostage negotiators, and do you find that a lot of the hostage takers insist on a ransom, or is it usually a person taken in exchange for something else?
And it depends. Since, for example, in Yemen, when Yolandi Korki has been kidnapped by this people, by Al-Qaeda, we had, before the kidnapping issue, we had some relationship with the tribal people. We went to these guys and we spoke with them. We already helped them with a lot of goods on behalf of people of South Africa. And that's why we find a good cooperation from these people. But and in Burkina Faso, actually, we didn't implement a project so far in Burkina Faso. It's a completely different issue. In some countries like Somalia as well, we're working in Somalia and we have a good relationship with the people. Our policy is different from the government policies. It's normal, the government, they say they are unable to pay any ransom money. And even us, we are not going to pay anything. But we're trying to use our relationship with the local people in these areas to help us.
Very quickly, I want to talk about travel advisories. A lot of countries, including ours, do issue travel advisories for various parts of the world because of crime or other dangers that are present there. Are you finding that South Africans in particular are heeding or even checking to see if whatever part of the world they want to go to is safe?
They must do this. The world is not, it's not that safe to go anywhere that you can go at any time. You have to check first. Some people, they just kidnapping foreigners. They no matter who they are, from where they are. They don't even look to your citizen. Where are you from? South Africa? They don't care. They're just trying to get any foreigner. So just please be careful before you go to any other country. You have to check some information from the internet. You can see how is the stability in this country, how is the government, how is the security in this country. Before you make such a decision, make your family suffering from the consequences of this decision.
Anas Al-Hamati, thank you so much for your time. That was Gift of the Givers Foundation hostage negotiator Anas Al-Hamati. This is ENCA Now. More news shortly.